granddaughter, Kesaobaka. Kesaobaka White, it is now, is from Botswana, Africa. The way the process started, our daughter was a journeyman in Botswana a few years back. She was there for 2.5 years. While there, she helped lead through the Spirit a young lady, the Christ. They became close friends. Our daughter left to come back to seminary, and soon thereafter she got a report that the young lady back in Botswana had gotten pregnant, which is not unusual, I'm afraid, for young ladies there, because rape generally is looked upon as not bad as long as you didn't hurt the young lady. So it's very common for girls to have babies out of wedlock and multiple children. So our daughter went back over because she was embarrassed and left the church and thought she'd really done wrong, when who knows how this happened, but went back and loved on her and got her back in church, and things were good. And then heard about 3 years ago, I guess it is now, that the father of the child, not the husband or anybody living there, but the father came back, strangled the mother in the hut, and left the child locked up in the hut with the dead mother, then went out and hung himself. Called mercy killings for some there because of the AIDS issue, and possibly. In this particular case, though, when it happened, our daughter heard about it. She had recently been married to her husband, Justin, and they were both devastated. Justin had not been over there, didn't know the family or any of that part of it. At one point, Justin came to my daughter and said, "I think God's asking us to go adopt this little girl," which was just miraculous considering they were fairly newlyweds, no children of their own. And our daughter was feeling that too, but how do you tell your new husband that with somebody that far away and no knowledge of them at all? So it was really a blessing for them to come to that. And then they talked to their parents, they talked to church members, elders, etc., to confirm God's calling in this. Decided to go do it, which meant they had to live in the country for a little over a year and a half, having adopted rights to the child, which they did. The entire year and a half, though, they were hounded, probably a correct word, by their secret police out of the president's office and other places because they did not want it to happen. They tempted them of child trafficking. They said that they were going to deport them on numerous occasions, all to remove them from the child so they wouldn't be able to adopt her. But through God's grace and in His sovereignty and knowing really where all this was headed, it's a much longer story of all the trials and tribulations while they were there, but it worked out, and in July they came home. The last 3 days in and of itself is a book in terms of how God manipulated different people at the right time and right places to help them out, from our government and the ambassador all the way through into South Africa and many other places. The other really interesting part of the story, though, is they were there to adopt, the child, Kesa, who, by the way, is just phenomenal. She's obviously proud grandfather. She's very bright, very happy, well-adjusted. It's amazing, how she is, and we just love her to death. But while they were there, living with her, abiding by the laws, of the land, even though the country didn't abide by their own laws, but while they were doing that, God presented them with so many opportunities, witnessing testimony that they didn't know was going to be there. So He had more purposes for their being over there than just adopting, this young child, and the fruit of that was it's just unbelievable. So there's so many praises that go around beyond them finally being able to come home with their granddaughter.